All right, so listener name, buckle up, because today we are diving deep into Joker, Folie, Deux,
Yeah.
and let me tell ya, this ain't your typical sequel deep dive. Not even close.
Well, absolutely not.
We're talking critical mayhem, Lady Gaga belting out tunes as Harley Quinn, and enough debate to make your head spin.
That's true. The reactions, they've been all over the map, which, honestly, for a film like this, is almost more intriguing than if everyone just loved it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not every day a sequel to a, Oscar-winning kind of phenomenon takes this kind of swing.
No kidding. Okay, so Joaquin Phoenix, he's back as Joker.
Right.
Same director, Todd Phillips.
Yeah.
So far, so good. Right.
Sure, sounds familiar.
But then they hit us with it's a musical.
Whoa, yeah.
And not just any musical, a Joker musical.
Yeah.
With Lady Gaga stepping into Harley Quinn's shoes.
And that's where things get really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like they took everything you'd expect from a Joker movie and just chucked it out the window.
Yeah.
Which, gotta admit, is a bold move.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they knew a rehash of the first film just wouldn't cut it.
Right, right.
So they went for it. Full-on gamble.
Okay, so before we go full on, let's set the stage a bit here. We checked in with our usual scorekeepers. Rotten Tomatoes has it at a wobbly 56% from the critics. And Metacritic pretty much mirrors that with a 51 out of 100.
Ooh.
It's like the cinematic equivalent of a shrug emoji, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. But here's the thing about those scores. They don't tell the whole story.
True.
You got to dig a little deeper, and then you see this whole range of reactions. It's wild.
Yeah. Like what was...
You got Empire Magazine. They are head over heels for this thing.
Really?
Praising the musical, calling it daring, innovative.
Okay. But I can practically hear some folks out there saying, innovative, sure, but is it actually good?
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Definitely is.
And to get that answer, you got to look past just the scores at what critics are actually saying.
Right.
Take Slash Film, for example. They loved it.
They did.
Said it stayed true to that whole Joker vibe, but at the same time, flipped the script on every superhero movie trope out there.
Rich, that's interesting because we're seeing this trend, right? The superhero movies trying to break out, get a little weird.
Sure.
But a musical, that's a whole other level.
Totally next level.
Next level.
And it's a gamble that clearly paid off for some, while others, well, it's like they walked into the wrong screening room.
Yeah.
Publications like, the San Francisco Chronicle.
Yeah.
Not so much their cup of tea.
What'd they say?
Found the pacing slow. The whole thing felt kind of claustrophobic, especially because so much of it takes place stuck inside Arkham Asylum.
You know, that critique, that trapped feeling, it almost ties into what some critics were saying about the sequel playing it safe, compared to the original.
Yeah.
Picture it. Joker, unleashed on Gotham, pure chaos, electrifying.
Yeah.
Joker stuck in therapy sessions, not quite as impactful.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like the setting itself, Arkham, it becomes this metaphor for those criticisms,
Oh, that's good.
It's like they're confining Joker literally and figuratively.
Yes.
The filmmakers kind of accidentally reflected a similar constraint in their own choices.
Ooh, I like that.
A little too restrained, maybe?
That's a keen observation.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about the intentionality or maybe the lack thereof behind that decision, right?
Exactly. And that's where this whole shared madness thing really kicks in, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because, okay, we're trapped in Arkham, yeah.
Right.
But we're seeing it through the eyes of, well, not just Joker, but Harley Quinn.
And not just any Harley Quinn.
Right.
Lady Gaga's take on her.
Yeah.
Which critics are calling it a huge departure from, what we've seen before.
Totally.
This isn't like the bubbly, chaotic Margot Robbie Harley.
No, not at all. Which begs the question, whose madness are we really seeing here?
Ooh, good question.
Is this Joker, pulling her into his world? Or is she bringing her own brand of crazy to the table?
Right.
Twisting how we see him in the process.
That is the brilliance of this Folie Deux idea.
Isn't it?
It's like this psychological dance they're doing.
Yeah.
Where each one's reality is messing with the other.
Whoa.
And we're stuck there trying to figure out, what's real? What's a shared delusion,
Exactly. And even those critics who, they weren't sold on the whole, pacing or thought it was a little too talky.
Yeah.
They couldn't deny the performances.
Oh, no, the acting is top-notch.
I mean, come on, Joaquin Phoenix. He's got the Oscar for this role already.
Exactly.
But Lady Gaga, buzzworthy.
Definitely generating buzz.
And this ties into what makes the film so fascinating, even if maybe musicals aren't your thing, We're seeing something new in comic book movies.
For sure.
It's not just about the big action, the explosions.
It's
about what's going on in their heads.
Yeah. Their psychology.
And how messed up they both are.
Exactly. Exactly.
And how that, collides.
Yes. It's like a collision of crazy.
Speaking of crazy, we got to talk about the music.
Oh, here we go.
We can't avoid it, right?
Right.
Empire magazine called it, get this, a beguiling romance between murderous psychopaths.
Oh, wow.
Which, I gotta say, not your everyday movie tagline.
No, not at all. But it perfectly captures how divisive this whole thing is.
Right.
That one phrase, it either sucks you in or makes you want to run for the hills.
It's true. It's true.
And critics are doing both.
Yeah, they are.
Some, they're praising how gutsy it is, how bold to put Joker to music.
Yeah.
Others, well, not so much.
Not so much, yeah. The San Francisco Chronicle, they called those courtroom scenes, the musical numbers, a clunky mess.
Ouch.
Which, okay, I get it. It's a big swing tonally.
It is, for sure.
But doesn't it make you at least a little curious? How did they even do that?
You got to admire the director's vision, right?
Mm.
They could have played it safe, standard sequel stuff.
Right.
But no, they went for it.
Yeah.
Tried something different.
And that's what we should be, celebrating, even if
it's not perfect.
not everyone loves it. Yeah.
Totally.
It's like that saying, I'd rather be talked about than not at all.
Absolutely.
And this movie, people are talking.
They are. And in a world where, there's a superhero movie every other week, it seems.
Right, right.
That's saying something. It really is.
It's making audiences rethink what these films can be.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's refreshing.
I agree. It is refreshing. So, okay, listener name. Here's where we're at, right? Incredible acting,
Top notch.
a musical approach that's either brilliant or totally bonkers,
Oh, maybe both.
and enough shared madness to fill Arkham Asylum twice over.
At least.
Where are you leaning on this one? Because let's face it, you don't exactly walk into a Joker movie expecting a lighthearted stroll through the park, right?
No, not quite.
You're signing up for a dark trip,
Yeah, yeah.
a psychological thriller disguised as a comic book flick.
Right, exactly.
And with Folie, Deux, well, it's like they took that darkness, cranked it up to 11,
yeah.
and then, filtered it through Harley Quinn's equally messed up mind.
And that's what makes this film so compelling, right?
Right. It's not just about, Joker unraveling.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about how that unraveling infects, or maybe even gets influenced by, another deeply, deeply troubled person.
It's a two-way street, this madness.
Oh, absolutely. It's a twisted dance they're doing.
Yeah.
This shared delusion where you start to question everything.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it.
Every motive, every violent act, even those musical numbers.
Yeah, speaking of, it's a lot to handle, this movie. I can see why some people walked out, scratching your heads.
Oh, yeah.
Did I just see a masterpiece? Or a total train wreck?
And that ambiguity, right?
Yeah, huh?
That's what elevates this above your typical, comic movie.
Right.
It's not trying to give you all the answers neatly tied up in a bow.
No, no.
It's holding up this funhouse mirror.
Oh, I like...
To society, to mental illness, to good and evil even.
Whoa.
And it's your job as the viewer to make sense of those reflections.
So, listener name, what do you think? After this deep dive, are you ready to take the plunge yourself?
Yeah. Are you ready to enter the world of Folie, Deux?
Because even if musicals aren't your jam...
Right. Even if you're, I don't know, skeptical about how this whole Joker and Harley thing plays out.
You can't deny that this film is ambitious.
Oh, it's definitely ambitious.
It's daring. It's an experience.
And you know what? Even if you end up hating it,
Yeah.
it's a film that'll stick with you.
Yeah.
You'll be talking about it, arguing about it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even singing those crazy tunes. No judgment.
No judgment at all.
And honestly, isn't that the mark of any truly great work of art?
It's true. It's true.
Something that provokes, that sparks a conversation, that stays with you long after the credits roll.
It makes you think.
Exactly.
So there you have it, Joker, Folie, Deux, a deep dive into madness, music, and, well, the places where our own perceptions get a little blurry. Thanks for joining us for this wild ride, listener name.
See you next time.